You are watching. The apocalypse is here, Innit. At the Sky Motel, Jung Minjun walked silently. Suddenly, he was shocked and said, "Ah!" He saw Han Yena waiting for him outside. She immediately hugged Jung Minjun with her entire body pressing against him and started to cry. Sob, sniff, the professor. They stood on the quiet street, no zombies in sight, Han Yena still clinging to him, savoring the moment. Meanwhile, inside room 206, silence lingered. A few moments later, Seo Harjun, standing next to Seo Jae-hoon, cried out, "Wah!" Moon Ji-eun said softly, "Honey." Seo Harjun, crying, sobbed, Seo Jae-hoon smiled faintly and said, "I told you I am fine, Harjun." As Seo Harjun continued crying, Seo Jae-hoon added, "I told you, did I not? I am sorry I could not tell you in advance, but I was diagnosed with cancer a few months ago. I wouldn't have lived long anyway. So it's okay. Don't be too sad. You have to find your sister, right? Everyone. When the time comes, we all die. It's only a matter of whether it comes sooner or later." My friend passed away from illness less than a year after his child was born. And there are so many people who face death even earlier than that, you know. Hajun, you must find your sister, right? Just seeing how much you have grown. I think I have lived a truly happy life. So don't be too sad. That's just how life is. Jung Minjun listened silently to Seo Jae-hoon. A few moments later, still in room 206, Seo Jae-hoon whispered, "What I told Hajun was a lie." Kang Hakyeol, confused, said, "Pardon? Then that means—" Kang Hakyeol began. Seo Jae-hoon nodded. "Yes, the cancer diagnosis was not true. I only said that so the child would be a little less sad." As the virus began to spread through his body, he continued, "If he realizes I am leaving like this so suddenly, it will be even harder for Hajun to bear. So please keep it a secret. From Hajun. This is about all I can do as a father, to the very end. Still, I lived fairly long. It was a good life." Kang Hakchol, my daughter. I really wanted to see her. Please, help my family reunite with my daughter Hakchol. And honey. He held Moon Ji-eun's hands tightly. "Please take care of Kang Hakchol and Hajun." Burst into tears as the room fell silent. Kang Hakchol remembered Seo Jae-hoon's words, "If I turn into an infected, don't go out of your way to kill me. Just leave me in this room. Once I am infected, I am no longer human. If I stay locked here, I might starve to death eventually. But if I remain alive as an infected, and if the chaos in the world settles down, and a cure is developed, or a treatment that can make us fully recover is found, if by any chance that happens—" Suddenly Seo Jae-hoon sat up from the bed, growling. Kang Hakchol remembered his last words. "Come back for me, then. I will be waiting." Kang Hakchol stepped out of the room, glancing back one last time. A few moments later, on the rooftop of the Sky Motel, Han Yena asked, "Will there ever be a cure that can bring the infected back to themselves?" Kang Hakchol sighed. I am not in medicine, so I don't know for sure. But I think it is almost impossible. Like the professor said, once you are infected, you are no longer human. And no one has ever proven that an infected will starve to death after months without eating. Of course, it would be amazing if a cure could be developed soon." Han Yena frowned and said, "Oh right, but what happened back in the hallway?" Kang Hakchol replied, "The infected did not attack Jung Minjun, the way I see it. Jung Minjun, you were like giving orders to the infected." Han Yena stared at Jung Minjun, shocked and confused. "Does that even make sense? You're saying Jung Minjun gave orders to the infected?" Jung Minjun shook his head. "No, that's not it. I was just overwhelmed with rage and shouted like that. There's no way the infected heard me and attacked Park Sungbin because I said so, right? Maybe they just rushed at a non-infected, because he was right in front of them." Kang Hakchol said, So the infected only don't attack you when your symptoms flare up, right? Will the symptoms come back again?" Jung Minjun said, Seems like it. I don't know when it will happen again, though." Come to think of it, in the game Rage Z, there is a ruler of the zombie horde. They call it the only special infected in that world who is fully conscious. It thinks like a human and gives orders to the infected so they act more intelligently. Of course, I don't think I have become that undead king. My symptoms come and go. When the symptoms disappear, the infected attack me again. I don't know if I am fully infected or immune, but with side effects. Whether I can actually command the infected or not, I'll have to test it next time the symptoms flare up. Hanyena sweated and said to herself, but if young Minjin stays infected like this, could I catch it from him too? Then, would it be dangerous to get close to? No way. Oh, of course I wouldn't do it. But then for young Minjin, kissing or making out, sharing love, that kind of thing would be impossible. Obviously, there's no way I would ever get involved with him. But what if young Minjin's body is infected so he cannot share love with anyone? I mean, obviously, seriously, clearly and absolutely, there's no way in heaven I would ever do that with this jerk, but is he doomed to go his whole life without even kissing anyone? A lifelong virgin? Then what do we do? As Hanyena came to the realization, her eyes grew wide and she said to herself, seriously, he is freaking pitiful, young Minjin, to go your whole life without ever being with a girl. As she walked away, she said softly to herself, please, I hope you are not in a fully infected state. Young Minjin, confused, looked at Hanyena, making a scene for herself on the rooftop. A few moments later, Kang Hakchol said, we're not forgetting anything, right? Moonjian said, yes. Kang Hakchol said, madam, I'll just drive. I don't have a license, but in a world like this, that doesn't matter anymore. Yes, got it. Kang Hakchol glanced at Seo Hajin. Seo Hajin looked sad and silent. Kang Hakchol said to young Minjin, Minjin, you sit in the back together with Yena, and I'll put Hajin in the front seat. Young Minjin, confused, said, okay. Kang Hakchol said, it's about 4 to 5 kilometers to Gunja station. Getting isolated in a dangerous spot while driving would be the worst. We'll go as carefully as possible. Kang Hakchol started the engine of the ambulance, and they drove off. Kang Hakchol said, Seo Hajun. Seo Hajun said, yes. Kang Hakchol said, I escaped from North Korea when I was about your age. My parents had already passed away before that, and when I escaped with my younger siblings, 7 and 9 years old, we went through so much. I lost my little brother in the process. But back then, aside from accepting my situation, there wasn't anything I could do. Other than desperately surviving and making it out, I didn't even have time to grieve. I can't give you fancy words of comfort, but what matters is this. If we find your sister, the only one who can protect your only family, your sister and your mother, is you, and you alone. So, keep your head straight. You're not just an ordinary kid anymore. Seo Hajun began sweating as the weight of reality sank in, and he said, yes. Suddenly Kang Hakchol saw something on the road ahead and stopped the ambulance. Wait, there is something, he said, as the others grew confused. Kang Hakchol parked the ambulance. Ahead of them was a car covered in blood, reinforced with armor and spikes. A zombie stood in front of the car, snarling. Grana Kang Hakchol was shocked and confused. He muttered to himself, "Ooh, what kind of vehicle is that? Is it coming this way?" Then he shouted to the others, "Keep your heads down." Seo Hajun said, What is it?" Jung Minjun, sweating, said, "I don't know who it is, but whoever is in that vehicle, they are definitely dangerous." As the armored car with a zombie in front cruised down the street, Hanyena sweated in fear, saying, "Well, what is that?" Jung Minjun said, "Did it stop because the infected appeared?" As the zombie said, "Kak! Kak!" the armored car moved towards their direction. Kang Hakchol, shocked and confused, said to himself, "It stopped. Did it notice us? If we have to fight, should we deal with them using close-range weapons? If there are more than two, it's dangerous." As he took out his knife. A zombie then walked towards the armored vehicle, saying, "Kak! Kya!" Kang Hakchol said to himself, "Is there an infected nearby?" The armored vehicle suddenly opened a window, and a rifle came out with a silencer, shooting at the head of the incoming zombie. Kang Hakchol, shocked and confused, said to himself, "Gee, gunshot sound. but somehow it sounded like. The person inside the armored vehicle said, "Darn, did you see that headshot?" "Kekekiki," his friend said. "It's right in front of you anyway." The other said, "Ha, but are all the survivors gone? I can't see any of them at all." His friend said, "They must have hidden as soon as they saw the front of the vehicle. Isn't that obvious?" The other said, "Forget it, just decide where to raid. We need to fill the quota, whether it's people or food." As the armored vehicle continued to move forward, Kang Hakshol said to himself, "Luckily, it looks like they're passing by." He looked around and said, "Phew, looks like they're gone for good now." Seo Hajin said, That's a relief." Kang Hakchol said, "We need to move quickly." He said to himself, "I don't feel good about this." As he started the engine of the ambulance. A few moments later at the Korean Telecom, the parking was blocked. As the ambulance moved forward, Kang Hakshol said, "At least the road isn't blocked anymore." Seo Hajin said, "What if we can't use the car anymore?" Kang Hakshol said, "Then we'll have to walk while avoiding the infected. We should be within 1 to 2 kilometers of Gunja Station soon, so I think we can walk after that." A few moments later, Kang Hakcheol was confused and said, "Huh?" As he looked at the side mirror and saw the armored vehicle, Kang Hakcheol sweated and said, "Darn, those bastards from earlier are following us." Seo Hajin said, "Are you kidding me?" As Kang Hakcheol stepped on the gas, they moved quicker and left the street. The armored vehicle followed them and turned onto the street, continuing to follow the ambulance. Kang Hakcheol, shocked, continued to drive. Suddenly Kang Hakcheol said, "Darn it, the road is blocked." He looked at the side and said to himself, "A parking lot. There could be infected inside. But let's try to get in first." As he broke through the barrier and sped off, Han Yena said, What is going on?" Kang Hakcheol said, "A dangerous-looking vehicle has been chasing us since earlier." Han Yena said, What? Kang Hakcheol looked ahead and said, It's blocked," he said to himself. "At this rate, we have no choice but to fight." He turned around and said to the others, "It's a dead end, so I guess we'll have to deal with them. Stay inside the car for now and be prepared, something might happen soon." Moon Jian said, "Jay, just a moment. What do you mean?" Kang Hakchol got out of the ambulance and Moon Jian said, "They might not be bad people, so you have to be careful, Hakchol." Kang Hakchol said to himself, "I also hope they're friendly. But if they're hostile, we'll have no choice but to fight. My weapon is a hastily assembled, bulletless K2 rifle with a makeshift dagger and a single emergency knife. We don't know how many opponents there will be or what weapons they might have. If they carry guns, then of course I'll be at a disadvantage. No matter how good I am at close combat, fighting with a knife is completely different from fighting with guns, especially if they're proficient with guns, if it's a really dangerous situation. Even if I'm alone," as he sweated and looked at the street. A voice said, "What's that?" His friend said, "Aren't they coming down?" As Kang Hakchol peeked in the other direction, the zombie said, "Kya?" The masked man said, "Darn it, you're telling me to go by myself?" Well, since we can't both be absent, fine, I'll go. If they're not worth making into slaves, I'll just kill them. They can't possibly be more dangerous than me, right?" Kang Hakchol, shocked, said to himself, that weapon, I need to run away quickly." As he ran down the parking lot, Kang Hakchol opened the ambulance and said to Jung Minjin, Han Yena, and Moon Jiun, "We need to hide somewhere else, so everyone get out quickly." Jung Minjin, confused, said, "Huh?" Kang Hakchol said, "Jung Minjin, how's your condition? Are your symptoms worsening?" Jung Minjin said, Why all of a sudden?" I'm fine right now." Kang Hakchol said, "Darn it. Yena, what do you think about inside the parking lot? Can you feel anything?" Han Yena said, "I think I can, but not many, I think. Maybe 4 or 5 people." As Kang Hakchol looked ahead with his flashlight, a zombie said, "Ugh, Kang Hakchol," and the others sneaked and passed through the zombies. Kang Hakchol saw an open door to the building. He looked back and said, This way. He saw the stairs and said, "Luckily it's open," he said to Jung Minjun. "Jung Minjun, lead everyone well and go upstairs to find a safe place. The enemy's companion might come into the building on the first floor, so be careful." Jung Minjun said, "What about you?" Kang Hakshul said, "I'll deal with that guy. Even if he has a gun, because he's alone, I can take him on." Jung Minjun said, "No. Even so, you don't have any bullets." Kang Hakshul said, "Then I'll try to lure him outside as much as possible. Take them and go inside the building somewhere. Lock the door and hide. Don't come out until I come back." Jung Minjun said, Be careful." Kang Hakshul said, "Don't worry." As he ran outside, the zombies suddenly ran towards the masked man and shouted, "Quack! Craw!" The masked man said, "Darn it." Kang Hakshul said to himself, he's been spotted by the infected. Even though he's put on a silencer, if he shoots inside, all the infected will gather around as the masked man started to shoot. The zombie said in pain, "Ugh, cuck!" Kang Hakshul said to himself, "He seems to have plenty of bullets." Still, where on earth did he get an R with a silencer from? Phew. If the situation is truly dangerous, I'll have to flee by myself. Inside the building, Jung Minjun said, "Is there no one?" Han Yena said, "Yeah, it seems okay." A few moments later, inside a room, Han Yena, Jung Minjun, Moon Jiun, and Seo Hajin entered. Han Yena sat down and said, "Phew, I hope Hakshul is safe." Jung Minjun sweated and said, "For now, everyone hide here. I'll go and help Hakshul." Han Yena, confused, said, "Huh?" She suddenly held Jung Minjun's hand and said, Don't go." Jung Minjun was shocked and confused as he looked at Han Yena sweating in beauty. Han Yena, all clingy towards Jung Minjun, said, "Stay close to me." Jung Minjun's eyes became wide open as he sweated in confusion and said, "Huh?" Han Yena let go of Jung Minjun's hand and said, "Ah." As she looked away in beauty and said, I'm worried about Hakshul, but that side has a gun, so it's too dangerous. And Hakshul told us not to come out until he gets here. Jung Minjun said, But, Han Yena said, "I'm saying this because I trust Hakshul. Let's stay here and wait for him." Jung Minjun stared at Han Yena and said, "All right." A few moments later, they looked at the clock, and it was already 1:30 in the afternoon. Han Yena said, "Will Hakshul be okay?" He said he'd lure him outside, but... Suddenly they heard noises outside. Jung Minjun came out of the room and looked around as the noise came from the fire exit. He heard the doorknob moving. Jung Minjun sweated and said, Hakshul." Han Yena sweated and said, "No, there's probably an infected on the other side of the door." As Jung Minjun and Han Yena waited quietly, Byungjun said, "What? Why won't it open?" Bai Sunho said, "Isn't there someone inside?" Han Yena said, "T2 people. Aren't they infected or special infected?" As Jung Minjun sweated, Byungjun said, "It was definitely open a few days ago." Bai Sunho said, Darn, I hid my stuff inside." Byungjun said, "Don't tell me there are really people." Jung Minjun sweated and said, "Wait." Han Yena said, "Huh?" Jung Minjun walked forward. Han Yena said, "Hey, Jung Minjun, don't get close, this is definitely infected." As Jung Minjun unlocked the door, Han Yena said, You're crazy. You're going to open the door." As Jung Minjun opened the door, he was shocked and said, What? What is it?" Byungjun and Bai Sunyo. Byungjun, 18 years old, Songgun High School, second year, class 5. Bai Sunyo, 18 years old, Songgun High School, second year, class 6. Jung Minjun said, "Why are you here?" Byungjun and Bai Sunho, shocked and confused, said, "Huh." Byungjun said, "Jung Minjun." "Hey, what are you doing here?" Jung Minjun said, "No, that's what I should be asking." Bai Sunho said, "What? Isn't that Han Yena? Jung Minjun, your class?" Han Yena closed her nose and said, "Whoa, what? It definitely wasn't a human smell." Byungjun said, "Jung Minjun, how are you with Han Yena?" "That's such a weird combination," Jung Minjun said. Anyway, I'll explain slowly later, so come in quickly. Han Yena sweated and said, He's infected. She pointed at Oh Byung-jun and said, That bastard is infected. Get him out quickly. Oh Byung-jun said, Huh? I'm not infected. Han Yena said, Don't lie. You smell like a loser. Like a pig, weird sour smell, rotten smell, corpse smell, all kinds of nasty smells. That's definitely not human. Jung Minjun smelled Oh Byung-jun's neck passionately. He covered his nose and said, That's just this guy's sweat smell. Byung-jun's sweat has always smelled awful. Han Yena, confused, said, Huh? That can't be right. Oh Byung-jun said, Darn, sorry, I washed properly. A few moments later, Jung Minjun, shocked, said, You came from Gunja Station shelter. But aren't you too young to be on patrol? Bai Sunho said, Anyone 18 and older has to do patrol and security duty, and now there are almost 300 to 400 people. Gunja Station alone can't hold everyone, so we've occupied surrounding buildings and spread out. We're gradually expanding our territory. Jung Minjun said, That's quite a large scale. Bai Sunho said, Anyway, this is about 2 kilometers from Gunja Station. It was a temporary base where we rest during patrols. I never imagined Jung Minjun would be here. Moon Jian said, Excuse me. Bai Sunho was confused, looking at Moon Jian. Moon Jian showed her phone and said, Have you perhaps, at Double Academy, seen a 20-year-old woman named Seo Ha-kyung? She's my daughter. The battery is low, but here's her photo. Bai Sunho, aide. Seo Ha-kyung. I think I've seen this girl before. Oh Byung-jun said, Isn't she the girl in the women's isolation area near Gunja Station, exit 1? Bai Sunyu said, I think I saw her at the shelter. Just from the photo, it seems like it could be her. Moon Jian, shocked, said, Really? Thank you. She's healthy and doing well, right? Bai Sunho said, Yes. But just from the photo, I can't guarantee 100%. If you check in person, you'll know for sure. Should we head to the shelter right away, then? Jung Minjun sweated and said, But there's a problem right now. Did you see anyone with weapons when you came in here? Like a strange vehicle with infected hanging from it. Oh Byung-jun said, Huh? Han Yena, still covering her nose, said, Well, while we were traveling by car, those people suddenly started chasing us. According to Hatchil, they had guns and weapons. Oh Byung-jun said, But aren't you being too obvious about covering your nose? Han Yena said, Your sweat smell is terrible, you bastard. Bai Sunyu said, But who's this Hatchil you just mentioned? Jung Minjun said, Kang Hatchil was traveling with us too, from our school. Bai Sunho said, That kid who defected from North Korea. Same class as you. Jung Minjun said, Yeah, that's right. Bai Sunho said, That's a really unique combination. Jung Minjun said, Anyway, Hatchel said he'd lure them outside, but it's been 30 minutes with no news, so I'm worried. Bai Sunho said, When we came in here, there was nobody. Want to go up to the rooftop and check? Jung Minjun said, Sure. Han Yena suddenly pulled Jung Minjun's hoodie and said, Wait, as Jung Minjun, Oh Byung-jun, and Bai Sunho looked back at Han Yena, she said, Jung Minjun, stay with me. Can't we just send them to check? Bai Sunho was shocked and confused, saying, Han Yena said, or take me along too, as Oh Byung-jun and Bai Sunho were shocked in silence as they watched Jung Minjun and Han Yena so close to each other. They looked at each other. Jung Minjun said, Don't worry, I'll go up to this building's rooftop with my friends just to check the surroundings. Yena, you wait here with Hajun and his mum. Is that okay? Han Yena sweated in beauty and said, Like a good girl, she said to Jung Minjun. You absolutely cannot go far, okay? Got it? Oh, Byung-jun and Bai Sunho became seriously jealous and silent, looking at Jung Minjun and Han Yena. A few moments later, up the stairs and on the rooftop. Oh, Byung-jun, Bai Sunho, and Jung Minjun looked around. As Jung Minjun looked down the street, he said, What? There really isn't anyone. You said that vehicle was waiting outside the building for sure. Kang Hakshol is safe, right? If they shot from the side, we would have heard gunshots. Maybe we could not hear because of the silencer. But even via silencer we shall have heard some sound. Oh, Byung-jun said, "Hey, Young Min-jun," as he suddenly grabbed Young Min-jun's hoodie in aggression and said, "Hey, you foolish bastard." As Young Min-jun was shocked and confused, Oh Byung-jun shouted, "Tell me the truth, you bastard. Are you dating Han Yena?" Young Min-jun, shocked and confused, said, "What? No, what kind of nonsense is that suddenly? Why would Han Yena and I—" Oh Byung-jun said, "If you mess around, I'll drop you from the rooftop. Tell me straight." Bai Suno said, "Han Yena is not that kind of girl. She's someone who openly despises losers like us, including you. Songun Hai's ultimate popular goddess. But to losers, she's Han Yena with a rotten personality. But she's so beautiful that being despised by her isn't that bad. You're not even in the same class, but you thought of Han Yena like that." Oh Byung-jun said, "Right, I didn't feel bad when she looked at me with disgust." Bai Sunho said, "Honestly, if you're pretty, everything is forgiven." Young Min-jun said, "Cut it out, you crazy bastards." Bai Sunho said, "Besides, Han Yena hated you the most, Young Min-jun. But now what?" She tells Young Min-jun to stay by her side. Oh Byung-jun said, "If this isn't dating, what is?" Young Min-jun said, "You're jumping to conclusions over something like that? It just happened that I ended up traveling with Yena early in the crisis. That's how it turned out." Bai Sunho said, "Look at this bastard calling her Yena instead of Han Yena." Oh Byung-jun said, "They're dating, this bastard." Young Min-jun looked away and said, "And Yena has something like separation anxiety. Yena's parents are all missing. Well, I am the only one she can rely on, and she has changed a lot from before." Oh Byung-jun told the truth and slapped it in Young Min-jun's face, saying, "That is called dating, you foolish bastard. How far have you two gone?" Young Min-jun said, "This foolish loser bastard." Oh Byung-jun said, "The world ended, so Han Yena went crazy and is acting affectionate towards Young Min-jun. I cannot believe it." Jung Min-jun said, Stop that nonsense. Anyway, we are nothing to each other. It's not what is him. Our taunt. We need to find Kang Hakcheol first." "Actually, I heard there was a shootout outside the shelter a few days ago. I heard the other side had guns and weapons too, but we had so many people. I don't know if the guys who chased you are the same ones," Young Min-jun said. A shootout? That it is so dangerous outside. Are you guys okay? Your weapons are just axes and pickaxes. Such close-range weapons, that's too weak." Oh Byung-jun said, "That's why when dangerous situations happen, we immediately request an SOS by radio. Then armed support comes by vehicle to help right away. So we don't worry much," Bai Sunho said. "And since then, we haven't seen hide nor hair of them for days, so maybe they ran away." "I don't really know if the people who chased you are those same people," Young Min-jun said. Bai Sunho said, "If you're really worried about Kang Hakcheol, how about waiting here longer before going to Gunja Station? That would be okay, right?" Young Min-jun said, "Would that really be okay?" Said, "By the way, there are so many people at the shelter now that accepting survivors has become very strict. Since we know you, you'll probably be accepted after just a few tests." Young Min-jun said, "Huh? That's the same radio Hakcheol had. Hakcheol should have a radio from people who came from your shelter. Can you try connecting to it?" Oh Byung-jun said, "Oh really? You met people from our side. If he had one, it would have connected already. But let me report to headquarters first." Young Min-jun said, "Come to think of it, we came out in such a hurry. Hakcheol's bag was left in the ambulance. If the radio was also left in the ambulance, it might not connect at all." Oh Byung-jun used the radio and said, "This is Oh Byung-jun arrived at Grand Plaza building on Cheong-o-daro, found 4 survivors. The survivors are friends from our school. Is it okay to bring them?" Someone replied on the radio, "Even if they're acquaintances, you must take them to Hope Clinic and isolate them for at least a day. You know that, right?" Jung Min-jun said to himself, sweating in shock and confusion. eye infection testing. Oh Byung-jun said, yes, I obviously know the rules, and of course they need to be tested. However, one member of our friends group is still missing. We need to find that friend first. If it's late, we might move tomorrow. The radio said, understood. Make sure to report if anything happens over. Jung Minjun said, to enter the shelter, do you have to get infection testing? Oh Byung-jun said, yeah, it's mandatory. There's a hospital called Hope Clinic outside the shelter. There's a specialist doctor there, and they say they can determine infection status almost accurately. Jung Minjun stood in shock. He then said, then if you test positive for infection, what happens then? Bai Sunho said, infected people turn into infected soon, so naturally, immediate. Shocked, Oh Byung-jun said, Jung Minjun, you're not infected, right? Same goes for the others. Jung Minjun said to himself, darn, don't tell me. If I get tested, I'll come out as infected. As he held his wound. In a distance, a man observed Jung Minjun, Oh Byung-jun, and Bai Sunho on the rooftop from another building. He used his binoculars and said, this is Patrol Team 2. Found survivors on a building rooftop on Chongodero. 3 men, judging by the green identification bands on their arms. They're definitely the Gunja station guys we had a shootout with in this area a few days ago. The man on the radio said, what about the one who escaped from the ambulance? The man with a skull mask said, our rifle-armed group went after him, but there's no news yet. We thought it was just one guy, but it seems like 4 or more. We can't determine exactly how many. Seeing that the guy who escaped from the ambulance had a K2 rifle. We don't know what weapons they might be armed with either. Right now I only have close-range weapons, so by myself. The radio said, back then, one of our people died because of those bastards. If they're definitely the Gunja station guys, capture them alive by any means and kill them if they resist. The skull mask man said, all right, and he muttered to himself, darn it, we don't even know whether one of our team members is dead or alive after chasing the guy with the K2. How am I supposed to capture all of them by myself? On top, F that, they are all men, who knows how many more there are. He raised his binoculars and whispered, first, I need to check which floors of that building they are on. Let's just kill them all. Meanwhile, Oh Byung-jun, Bai Sunho and Jung Minjun walked together. Jung Minjun thought to himself, Sunho and Byung-jun, they are definitely my closest and most trustworthy friends. About my infection, should I tell them about it? Will why believe that I am immune? No, wait, what if I get tested, and I am not actually immune? What if I am infected, just asymptomatic? Or worse, what if I am some kind of special case? Either way, if they start treating me like I am infected, things could get dangerous. Should I send everyone else to the Gunja station shelter without me? But we would still need a proper diagnosis from a medical expert to be sure. Is there another way? I don't know, I'll just delay telling them for now. First, I need to find Hakshiol. 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Oh Byung-jun looked down at his radio and frowned. Still no response. If Kang Hakcheol had the radio or was not in trouble, he would have definitely responded. Jung Minjun, sweating, whispered to himself, I'll wait just a bit longer. If that doesn't work, I'll have to go find him myself. Suddenly they heard a noise. Jung Minjun narrowed his eyes and thought, As the sun went down, a window in a nearby building opened. The skull mask man whispered, it should be around here. Jubal Academy. I heard voices coming from here, and I confirmed the door was locked. They are definitely all gathered inside. I even lured some infected people to trap them. Guess it's about time to get started. At Jung Minjun's building, the halls were silent. Hanyana barked, hey, you 2 losers, stop hanging around and go keep watch outside. Oh Byung-jun blinked. Huh? No, I mean what the heck, why only us? Hanyana frowned. You guys know this place better than anyone. Just then the sound of breaking glass echoed. Jung Minjun froze, sweat dripping down his face. Well, what was that? Was it the sound of glass breaking? Another crash followed. Again, the commotion, and flames lit up the corridor. "Fire!" he shouted. He spun towards Oh Byung-jun and Bae Sunyo. "Get the fire extinguisher." He turned to another room and cursed. "Shh! Here too! Someone threw a Molotov cocktail." Looking at Han Yena and Oh Byung-jun, he barked. "Looks like our location has been exposed to them. We need to move somewhere else." Han Yena broke into a nervous sweat. "What?" Oh Byung-jun grabbed his radio. "This is Oh Byung-jun. We are under attack by unknown individuals. We need backup. Everyone, pack your things," Jung Minjun commanded. Oh Byung-jun kept speaking into the radio. "We have not confirmed how many there are. Move as fast as possible." Han Yena froze, staring at Jung Minjun. "Huh? Jung Minjun, wait!" she cried. Jung Minjun yanked open the door. His body went cold as sweat poured down his face. "Gra! Ugh!" "What the heck?" he gasped. "Gah!" He slammed the door shut. Bae Sunho's voice cracked. "Why are they inside?" "The emergency exit. The infected people are swarming in." Jung Minjun panted. "Someone purposely guided the infected people towards us." "What? For real?" Bae Sunho shouted. Jung Minjun clutched his wound and thought, "Darn it, are my symptoms not kicking in? Back when it was Park Songbin, the symptoms activated and the infected did not attack me. Was something different back then? Park Songbin? Anger towards... Was it? Jung Minjun screamed. Oh Byung-jun and Bae Sunyo froze, confused and shocked. Park Songbin, you bastard!" Bae Sunyo stammered. "You... What are you doing?" Oh Byung-jun asked. "Why is he suddenly cursing Park Songbin?" Jung Minjun's voice shook. "By Byung-jun, how long until support gets here?" Oh Byung-jun gritted his teeth. "With this many infected ones inside the building, it will take even longer for them to reach us." Jung Minjun growled. Oh Byung-jun said, You are right." As the fire spread quickly, Jung Minjun said, Then let's do this." Han Yena, Moon Ji-eun, and Seo Jae-hun broke into a sweat. Jung Minjun continued, "I will somehow lure the infected towards the stairs. In the meantime, all of you escape to somewhere else. We don't know how many of them are outside, so avoid open areas as much as possible." Han Yena said, Jung Minjun, wait." Bae Sunho exclaimed, "What?" "Hey, what if you get bitten and infected?" Jung Minjun said. "We don't have any other choice right now. I will lure them no matter what. Sunho, take my bag for me. If we get separated and cannot regroup easily, I will head straight to the Gunja station shelter, so let's meet there. Please take care of Yena, Hajin, and Mum, you guys." Jung Minjun. As she tried to grab Jung Minjun, he ran too fast and she was not able to stop him. She stood silently, watching as he ran towards the fire exit, her eyes trembling. At the stairs, Jung Minjun shouted at the zombies, "Over here, you bastards!" The zombies roared, "Gra!" They suddenly chased after him. Jung Minjun ran fast, panting. Huff, he said to himself. Huff, it is okay if I really am immune. It is better for me to get bitten than my friends, as long as they don't tear me apart until death. Even if I get bitten, it won't matter. A foreigner lady zombie rushed at him, shrieking, "Gra!" Jung Minjun gritted his teeth. Darn it, how many of them are there? He forced his way up to the rooftop, gasping, "Huff, if I can shake them off on the rooftop and get back inside." He glanced at the ledge. The zombies growled, "Gra!" Jung Minjun looked back, then down over the edge, his forehead dripping with sweat. He thought to himself on the first day of the zombie outbreak. I went up to the apartment where Han Yena lived, ready to jump and end it all. If I hadn't run into Yena that day, that would have been the last day of my life. Looking back, I am basically alive thanks to her, and now, here I am, struggling with everything I have to survive. Yeah, I promised Yena we would survive this together, so I'm not dying until I see it through. He raised his middle finger at the incoming zombies and shouted, "You think I'm going to die because of you bastards?" Inside his heart he roared, "I am not scared. Not scared at all," and then he leapt. "Ah, darn it." At the stairs, Hanyena slowly walked down. Bai Sunyo asked, "Is the lower floor okay?" Hanyena looked up towards the rooftop, her mind filled with the image of Jung Minjun. Oh Byung-jun answered, "Yeah, all clear." Hanyena whispered to herself, "Jung Minjun." Bai Sunho called, "Hanyena, hurry this way." As she followed, Hanyena silently prayed, "Please, come back alive." As Jung Minjun leapt towards the next building, he said to himself, "I am not scared." Mid-air, he shouted like a little girl, "Oh, wah!" He howled, then gasped, "Fudge!" As he landed on the rooftop of the next building and said, "Ilwa!" he fell into the tables and landed on the ground, saying in pain, "Grr. Ugh. Ugh." He tried to sit up and whimpered, clutching himself. Did I overdo it, B, but I am glad I am alive." He looked at his legs and said, "Shoot, I think I landed wrong." Suddenly the skull mask man said, "Cuckoo, I was going to kill them all if I could not capture them, and they actually came to me on their own. What a stroke of luck." Jung Minjun said, "You guys are the ones." "Whoa, who the hell are you?" The skull mask man said, "You're from the Gunja station lot, right?" Jung Minjun said, "No." "Dola, wait," he stammered as the skull mask man kicked him in the gut, and he said in pain, "Gah." The skull mask man said, "I saw you with those Gunja station guys earlier. Where are those bastards?" Jung Minjun said in pain, "Ugh," he said to himself. "Oh, of all places, at my injured spot." The skull mask man used his radio and said, "This is Patrol Team 2. We have captured one from the Gunja station group." A friend of the skull mask man said, "I'll be there soon." The skull mask man said, "Yes, I'll hold him and try to get information." Jung Minjun held his wound and said, "Gah." He tried to steady his breathing. "Gah. Wait." As the skull mask man raised his foot, and Jung Minjun's screams were heard, a few moments later, Oh Byung-jun said, "Nobody's outside, right?" Bai Sunho said, "Yeah, it's clear." Oh Byung-jun's radio said, "This is Kim Dong. I have just arrived in front of your building." Oh Byung-jun said, "Yes, we are moving out." He looked at the others and said, "Thank God. They said our team is here. Now we can." Hanyena suddenly said, "I'll stay here. You guys go first," as Oh Byung-jun was shocked. "What?" "We said to meet at Gunja Station Shelter if Jung Minjun's joining is uncertain. This place is dangerous. We should go to Gunja Station first." Hanyena said, "So you're saying we should just leave Jung Minjun behind?" Someone snapped, "We still haven't found Kang Hakjeol. I'm not going until I find them." Bai Sunho sweated and said, "What if Jung Minjun and Kang Hakjeol get to Gunja Station first while we are out looking?" Moon Ji-un said, "Ah, yeah, Yena. Let's head to the shelter first and look for them with other people's help. It's too dangerous to stay here. Gunja Station is about 2 kilometers away. If Minjun or Hakchul are okay, we will meet them quickly." As Hanyena sweated silently. A few moments later, in the other building, Jung Minjun's blood traces were on the floor. Inside the toilet man, the skull mask man said, "The Gunja Station people, seeing the military uniforms, there might be soldiers mixed in. No wonder the ambulance escapee had a K2. We were outgunned." Jung Minjun said, "We are not with them." The skull mask man said, "Lying comes easy to you." Jung Minjun said, "We just met them on the way. We don't even know for sure if they are from Gunja Station." The skull mask man said, "From what I saw, it did not look like you were meeting those guys for the first time. Looked more like old friends." Jung Minjun said, "More importantly, the next building is on fire, so we need to get out now." The skull mask man said, "The fire will not reach this building too quickly, so do not worry. My teammate who chased your guys will meet us here. If they are alive, they should be here by midnight at the latest. If they do not show up by then, we will assume my teammate is dead, And then I will have to kill you too. You better pray that guy shows up. As he noticed Jung Minjin's neck, he said, This son of a biscuit, what's wrong with you? Could you be infected? Jung Minjin said while sweating. To be what? He said to himself, of all times. The skull mask man said, This bastard's infected for sure, haha. You're dead meat anyway. Fudge, when the hell did you even get infected? Jung Minjin said, I am not infected. As he tried to remove the zip tie from his wrist, the skull mask man said, The accused cried. Some joked cruelly, I could let him turn into a zombie and play with him, though nah, fudge it, let's just kill him. Jung Minjin said, Wait. Suddenly someone knocked on the door. The skull mask man looked at the door, shocked and confused. He came close to the door and said, Dobongsan? A moment of silence. He then asked again, Dobongsan? Jung Minjin sweated and said to himself, Dobongsan? Is that some kind of code? On the other side they said, Gangnengi. The skull mask man sweated in relief and said, Ah, fudge, it's you. Glad you came back. He opened the door and said, Good to have you. Suddenly he was shocked and confused as he saw Kang Hakchol pointing the rifle at him, saying, Huh. Kang Hakchol made him go to sleep forever in an instant. As Jung Minjin saw everything and sweated, Kang Hakchol came inside. Jung Minjin said, You. Kang Hakchol said, Jung Minjin. Jung Minjin said, K. Kang Hakchol, you made it. Kang Hakchol said, I was in a building right nearby. Jung Minjin said, What, you were in a nearby building? What the hell happened? Kang Hakchol said, I was trying to catch the other bastard and squeeze information out of him, so I got delayed. Jung Minjin said, You're something else. You must not be a high schooler. Are you some kind of special forces? As Kang Hakchol untied him, Kang Hakchol said, Do you think I'm a spy or something? You gotta put your life on the line to survive too. What about Yena and the others? Jung Minjin said, When that guy looked through the window earlier, it seemed like the Gunja Station people had taken them. Kang Hakchol said, Gunja Station folks? Can they be trusted? Jung Minjin said, Do you know Byeonjun and Bai Sunho? They're friends from our school, so if they came from there, they should be okay. I also saw some soldiers mixed in over there. Kang Hakchol said, Let's get out of here first. Jung Minjin said, Ah, sorry, I think I hurt my leg landing from the neighboring roof. Kang Hakchol said, Can you walk if I support you? Jung Minjin said, Ah, yeah. Kang Hakchol said, Here, your glasses, I found them on the roof. Jung Minjin said, Wow, how do you always manage to find my glasses? Jung Minjin said, But my infection symptoms are flaring up again. If we go to the Gunja Station shelter now, won't they treat me like I'm infected? Kang Hakchol said, Those guys might come back, so at least let's move closer to Gunja Station. Jung Minjin said, So who the hell are those people? What are they really? Kang Hakchol was silent. He recalled earlier that day, the friend of the skull mask man on the floor. Cool. I already told you everything I know. The meet-up point, the password. We don't have a main base yet since we've been constantly on the move, but for now we're temporarily around the Jungnankan area. We'll likely move somewhere else tomorrow. Anyway, we're just ordinary people who came up from the provinces. Kang Hakchol said, Lies again, ordinary? Yesterday, one of my companions got stabbed by some low-life thug. The wound wasn't deep, but the knife was covered in infected blood. He ended up infected. As the friend of the skull mask man sweated in shock, Kang Hakchol continued, Before he turned, he told us to come for him, if a cure is ever developed. Honestly, I think that's impossible. Don't you think? This knife, it's the same one I used earlier when I took out a few infected while I was running. So the blade's covered in infected blood too. If I gave you a few stabs with this knife, you'd turn, right? I'm not planning to kill you, but I do want to run an experiment to see how infected blood actually transmits. The friend of the skull mask man sweated and said, I mean, we're from Yongkon prison in the provinces. At the start of the outbreak, infected showed up in the prison unexpectedly, which triggered huge riots and many inmates, including me, A few of the inmates I met in that prison. As soon as we heard Seoul had fallen into chaos, we came here. Kang Hakchul said, "Aha, so you're the criminals who snuck into Seoul to steal from banks and department stores during the chaos." The friend said, I'm not that kind of bad criminal." Kang Hakchul said, "So you're a good criminal, huh? All criminals are the same." The friend said, "I'm sorry, P, please spare me." Kang Hakchul said, "Still, prison escapees and you have weapons like this. Did you get them off a special forces corpse or what? Give a real source." The friend said, "I didn't personally obtain them. I heard those weapons were recently sourced. A few days ago something fell from a helicopter. When they checked the drop site, there were 2 assault rifles and a grenade in the crate, like a supply drop." As Kang Hakchul was shocked, the friend continued, "One rifle is with our leader, another was taken from a dead soldier by someone else. We've got a few grenades. The rest of the weapons are just melee, my guess is. It looks like someone is supplying gear to special forces type groups." In the present, Kang Hakchul said to Jung Minjun, "Anyway, someone seems to be deliberately spreading weapons around. Maybe it's to suppress the chaos. I don't know if it's the government or another country." Jung Minjun said to himself, "Weapons supply drops. Don't tell me." Kang Hakchul suddenly looked ahead and said in confusion, "Huh?" As Jung Minjun was shocked, bodies were scattered on the floor. They read the banner ahead, "Shoot on approach." Jung Minjun said, "Gee, Gunja Station Shelter. Did we arrive?" Kang Hakchul looked ahead and said, "Wait." He looked above and said, "There's someone up there." As the soldier pointed his rifle at them, Jung Minjun sweated and said, What? Kang Hakchul said, "Get away!" As Jung Minjun felt pain in his body and closed his eyes, the zombies chased after them and were shot by the soldier above them. Jung Minjun said, "They're infected." As the zombies shouted in pain, "Geek!" Kang Hakchul said, "More will swarm after hearing the gunshots. Let's escape over there for now." Jung Minjun said, "Yeah," as they ran to the alley. A few moments later, as the sun went down, Jung Minjun said, "Hakchul, since those guys won't attack me anyway, how about you run away first?" Kang Hakchul said, "Since we came this far, let's look for the shelter entrance together." A few moments later, Kang Hakchul said, What? Is this a dead end? Don't tell me this is near the shelter entrance," as the zombies rushed towards them and said, "Gra!" Kang Hakchul looked behind, then pointed his silenced rifle at the incoming zombie and shot it. It said in pain, "Keek!" The gate opened, and Ha Do-hyun said, "Come in this way." As Jung Minjun jumped inside and said, "Hath!" Ha Do-hyun shut the door as a zombie outside said, "Gra, Keek!" Kang Hakchul said, "Thank you." As Ha Do-hyun's friend shouted at him, "Drop your weapons and put your hands up!" Kang Hakchul looked at him and the friend said, "Drop your weapons and put your hands up, bastards." Ha Do-hyun said, "Besides us, someone else is aiming from somewhere, so don't get any funny ideas." Kang Hakchul dropped the gun. Ha Do-hyun said, "What's with this gun? Where did you get it?" Kang Hakchul said, "We happened to get it on the way here." Jung Minjun said, "You're from Gunja Station Shelter, right? My friends should have come here first." Ha Do-hyun's friend said, "Shut up, you bastard, only answer what we ask." Jung Minjun said, "Sorry?" Ha Do-hyun's friend said, "Where did you come from?" Kang Hakchul said, "We're just ordinary high school students." Ha Do-hyun's friend said, "Ordinary high schoolers know how to handle that gun." "Stop talking nonsense, bastard," Kang Hakchul said. "There was a shootout with some guys a few days ago, right? Those guys were rejected when trying to enter here, and conflict broke out. We were being chased by those guys too." Ha Do-hyun's friend said, "You rotten bastard, are you with those guys?" "How do you know about that?" Ha Do-hyun said, "Hey, that's enough. They're not those guys. That was the first time we fought armed outsiders, so we've been on high alert since then. We're not people who kill just anyone, so we need verification as procedure. Please understand. First, you need to move to the isolation building and get tested. You guys weren't bitten, right?" As Jung Minjun was shocked and sweated, he said to himself, Fortunately, the symptoms are disappearing. Still, it'll be dangerous if I get tested. Jung Minjun said, "Oh Byung-jun, Bai Soon-ho. They're my friends. My group should have arrived with them a little while ago. I'd like to meet my friends first before testing. Can you check by radio?" Ha Do-hyun's friend said, "Can't anyone meet before getting tested?" Ha Do-hyun said, "Those guys went out on patrol today, so it's fine." He took out his radio and said, "This is Westgate 3. Secured 2 unidentified survivors. They claim to be friends of Oh Byung-jun, Bae Soon-yo. Please confirm if those 2 have returned." Another radio said, "Checking." Ha Do-hyun said, "Wait a moment, we'll get an answer soon." As Jung Min-jun sweated, a few moments later the radio said, "This is the situation control room." Bae Soon-ho confirmed returned. Oh Byung-jun not returned. Additional survivors, 1 woman, 1 boy. Jung Min-jun, shocked and confused, said to himself, "Not returned." He sweated and said, "What does that mean?" "Your people definitely came, and all our group members got in a car together. There should be 2 women among the additional survivors." The radio continued. "According to the field report, one of the female survivors met there said she would stay to find her friends." Jung Min-jun said, "What?" The radio said, "Oh Byung-jun is said to be with that female survivor. First take those people to the isolation building." Ha Do-hyun said, "Yes, understood." Jung Min-jun said, "Well, wait a moment. The friend who stayed there, can you confirm if her name is Han Yena?" Kang Hak-chol said, "It's definitely Yena. There's no other female survivor looking for us except Yena. It seems like Oh Byung-jun is with Yena there." Ha Do-hyun said, "You can put your hands down now." Jung Min-jun said to himself while sweating, "Darn." He said, Excuse me, I think I need to go back there. The person that friend is waiting for is us." Ha Do-hyun said, "Oh really? Then you don't need to go. We'll send people to bring them back, so don't worry. And it's already getting dark, so it's dangerous. According to our rules, except for patrol teams, no one goes out after 6 o'clock in the evening. Once you've entered our zone, you can't leave as you please. First, go to the hospital in our isolation building and get tested for infection, and go through health checkups and several procedures." Jung Min-jun stood up and said, "Ah." Ha Do-hyun said, "Your friend Bae Soon-ho will come there too, so let's go meet him." Kang Hak-chol said, "I'll support you." Jung Min-jun said, It's okay, I can walk slowly." As they walked, he said, "Then, where are the 2 from our group who came first?" Ha Do-hyun said, "1 woman, 1 child, right? They should be in the isolation room now." Kang Hak-chol said, "This place is quite large." Ha Do-hyun said, "It started at Gunja Station's main hall. As survivors gathered, we built a shelter. After that, even stragglers from military units joined, and the number of survivors increased dramatically, so we occupied surrounding buildings, and now we've expanded the zone several hundred meters around Gunja Station headquarters. Up to this outer gate where we are now is the shelter zone. And as you can see, we've set up multiple barricades and fences inside for thorough security. Looking at those signs, beware of zombies, entry prohibited. There must be infected within this zone too." Ha Do-hyun said, "We haven't occupied all the buildings in the zone, so infected still remain in the buildings we couldn't secure. See that office building over there? We're working on occupying that one too. It would be difficult to eliminate all the infected inside, but even occupying just the safe floors could accommodate many more survivors." Kang Hak-chol said, "Amazing. When did you get this far?" As Jung Min-jun sweated, he said to himself, "Testing, I'm anxious." A few moments later, Han Yena said, "Jung Min-jun's bat. Then he would have jumped here from that building. He's definitely alive. The smoke." Min-jun's scent is coming and going. But why did he leave the bat behind? Did he forget? Oh Byung-jun said, Hey, the fire might spar. D to this building too. Let's hurry and escape." Han Yena said, "Hey pig." Oh Byung-jun said, "Ha." Han Yena said, "I told you to leave me behind. Why did you come back?" I said I can find them alone. Oh Byung-jun said, "Ah." As Han Yena picked up the bat, Oh Byung-jun blushed and sweated as he said, But still, I can't leave you alone, but besides, I got a gun from that group earlier, so don't worry. Hanyena looked back and said, Really? Worried? Do you even know how to use a gun? Oh, Byungjun said, that. Ha ha ha, I practiced shooting once or twice. Hanyena said, I see, but why is this guy stuttering so much? I don't need Anyo. Except Jung Minjun or Khan Hakchul, I can survive on my own. Oh, Byungjun said to himself, Fudge. Her personality's still awful. This Hanyena became favorable toward Jung Minjun. What the heck happened between Jung Minjun and her? Hanyena said, You're a disgusting pig-smelling loser bastard, but still, thanks for worrying about me. Oh, Byungjun was shocked and said to himself, Huh? Hanyena thanked me. This definitely means she has feelings for me. Hanyena said, Did you think I'd say that, you loser bastard? I know you're trying to mess around to be alone with me, right? Oh, Byungjun said, What? No way, Hanyena said. Really, I say one nice thing and you lose your mind completely. Still, I'm glad to have someone like you next to me. I hate being alone. Oh, Byungjun, steaming and sweating as he blushed, said to himself, For this girl, what am I supposed to do? She knows I'm a loser who can't resist pretty girls and she's totally playing with me. Hanyena said, Huh? As the doorknob moved, she was shocked and confused. Oh, Byungjun said, Hanyena. Hi, The door continued to move. Hanyena and Oh Byungjun hid. Hanyena said to herself, Jung Mingjun, or would it be Kang Hakshal, if T's not them? As they looked at the door, a few moments later at the checking area, Jung Mingjun said to himself, Wow, even though this is an isolation building, there are lights and it looks peaceful. Mum should be in a safe place like this too. Bai Sunho said, Jijun, Minjun. Jung Minjun said, Sunyo, what about Yena? You sent people, right? Bai Sunho said, Well, we did send people back there, but we can't contact Oh Byungjun. Jung Minjun, shocked, said, What? At the Ning building, the radio said, Oh Byungjun, please respond. Thank you for watching Rebirth Genesis. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you will not miss the next chapter of the journey. Your support keeps this rebirth going strong. Until next time, stay sharp and keep rising beyond your limits.